Islam Podcast. Den Islam hören und erleben.
You know that in the culture that we are meeting, we have to take what is good. You know, a sense of efficiency, a sense of respect, a sense of, all this is part of us, so we take from the culture. So this is a very important thing that we have to teach here. It's the way we deal with the rules, the way we deal with al-ahkam wal-fatawa. Fatwa is a legal opinion. And why do we need fatwa? Because al-ahkam are coming with the general situation, but sometimes we are facing new challenges, so we need legal opinion. How do we produce legal opinion? This is something that has to be studied. And it has to be studied from within. Now you can be critical or not, but at least the procedure, the way it's done, is something that we have. So this field of legal dimension should be understood by Muslims and should also be understood by our fellow citizens, to understand that Islam is not a static religion. It's not. It's a very, very dynamic religion when it comes to rules. And we are changing and we are moving. So this is a very important field that we have to teach. It's not theology, it's legal dimension. And it's the central part of Islam.
Was sind die Grenzen der Interpretation? Kann ein Muslim sagen, ich bin homosexuell und trotzdem ein gläubiger Muslim? Und kann ein anderer sagen, du bist homosexuell, deswegen kannst du kein gläubiger Muslim sein? Wer hat das Recht, hier zu urteilen? Und wer kann islamische Gesetze formulieren? Wer hat das Recht? Wenn man eine beliebige Interpretationsmöglichkeit öffnet, gibt es Schwierigkeiten. Wenn man eine Tür der Interpretation öffnet, dann muss man die Konsequenzen auch tragen. Es ist schwierig. Was sind die Grenzen der Interpretation? Ich habe ja die beiden Bücher geschrieben, Westliche Muslime und die Zukunft des Islam, Western Muslims and the Future of Islam. In which year did you write it? When did you write it? When was it published?
2002.
2002. And to be a European Muslim, ein europäischer Muslim sein. Was heißt das? It was published in?
96.
96, ja, 1996. Ich fordere dazu auf, dass Muslime in der westlichen Welt, aber auch in anderen kulturellen Kontexten, die Sprache ihrer Umwelt lernen, die Gesetze respektieren lernen, die Bräuche kennenlernen und trotzdem ihr eigentliches Muslimsein nicht verändern. They should not change their Muslim faith. Sie sollen ihr Muslimsein nicht verändern, aber trotzdem sollen sie loyal sein gegenüber ihrer Umwelt. Und zum Schluss, warum brauchen wir eigentlich Fatwas? Weil wir eine Hilfe brauchen, um rechtmäßige Ansichten zu haben, legal opinions. Und diese Fatwas sind typisch für den Islam, denn Islam ist eine dynamische Religion. Dynamic religion is it.
Thank you. So there are 2 points that I want to add, and then I will stop for you to add and to ask questions or maybe add things. So our relationship with text should be taught and also better understood from within and something which is within academia. This is something which is a complex issue. The second thing is about what I just said, the methodologies that we have within the fiqh field. There is, of course,
The second?
fiqh, just what you translated now. It's just law and jurisprudence. This is the 2 methodologies that we need to understand. And there is a third field, of course, then we are very close now to talking about theology when it comes to al-aqidah. But not al-aqidah as part of al-ibadat wal-aqidah in the fiqh field, but also something that we also have to understand is everything which has to do with ilm al-kalam. Ilm al-kalam is what we call at the same time theology and philosophy. And this is the discourse that we have on al-asma'ullah, al-asma' was-sifat, the attributes of God, the names of God. All these dimensions are quite important. And why is it important in the West to have a sense of this? Because very often the perception is that in the West, the philosophical tradition coming from the West has nothing to do with the Islamic tradition. I was yesterday at Erasmus University, I'm just coming from the Netherlands, and my talk yesterday was on the roots of Europe. And I was just explaining, when it comes to the philosophical tradition and legacy, when it comes to the philosophical tradition, it's something that it's the missing connection here about all what we have in coming from the thinkers and the philosophers, but not only, also the ulama, the scholars. When it comes to rationality, when it comes to how do we speak about what are the limits of our rationality, about doubt, for example. It's as if, for example, you said that my first PhD was on Western philosophy, on Nietzsche, the concept of suffering, and Nietzsche as a historian of philosophy. Nothing is said about the contribution of Muslim scholars and Islamic philosophers, as if it's all coming from the West. Now we know that René Descartes, the central figure about doubt and rationality, is building the construction and the way to go to truth. He came and he read Al-Munqiz min al-Dalal from Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. It's Al-Munqiz min al-Dalal is what is saving you from darkness. And he's talking about doubt. Who? Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. And he was 12th century. He passed away. It's very simple to remember the date of his death is 1111. So in the 12th century. And 5 centuries later, you had René Descartes coming with the dimension of doubt. And this is also something that we have to teach. Why? Because it helps you to understand that rationality is not it's not alien to the Islamic tradition. That the discourse on God, it's not central in Islam, but there is something which is quite interesting here on rationality. Al-Farabi, Al-Kindi first, and then Al-Farabi, and then the only one that we know in the West is Averroes. And say, Averroes was great. He's a rationalist. In fact, the only one that we find great in Islam is the one who is similar to us. He is great because he's like us. But it just shows how much we neglect the others. Like Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, as I said, Shatibi was a European. He's one of my masters in another field that I am going to talk about. But he's completely out of the picture in the West. You can just have PhDs in everything you want. In sociology, we'll never hear about Ibn Khaldun. In philosophy, you will never hear about Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, al-Farabi, al-Kindi, or now it's just the two of them, Ibn Sina and Ibn Rushd. That's it, not more than that. Which is wrong. And there is even something which is quite interesting. In the realm of philosophy, you can see that you have, for example, Ibn Taymiyyah. Ibn Taymiyyah, it's completely misunderstood by very important Orientalists, and very often said, he's the one who is just influencing the Wahhabi. And when you say Wahhabi in the West, is the worst. While Ibn Taymiyyah is very interesting, in fact, in the philosophical ground. You know why? Because he was questioning the Greek rationalist tradition by saying, be careful, don't import into our rationality coming from the legal framework in Islam something which is the binary dualist Greek tradition.